CORSO and Catone.
I think, well, listen, Mark, listen, hold on. When I say, would you have caffeine today?
What the hell is that up to?
Presented by Special Sauce Podcast, Studio 42 Design, and CORSO Law Group. Now for the real deal New England feel, CORSO and Catone.
Welcome into CORSO and Catone, the real deal New England feel. I'm CORSO, he's Catone. Somewhere back there is Joe. Joe, you around?
I'm here, ladies and gentlemen.
All right, and we know you're here too, watching us on YouTube and listening on iHeartRadio, Apple Podcast, or hey, wherever you podcast, you can hear us. And for you Alexa listeners, just say play CORSO and Catone podcast on iHeart, and we will pop up. And listen, check us out on Twitter. And, of course, our heated hotline, 855-313-PATS. Call in 24/7. Leave us a message. Anything is on the table. I want to hear from you and want yours to be the one. So 855-313-7287. Guys, listen, it was another busy week today. I can't even imagine how busy it's going to be when all four sports are playing at once. But it was a crazy week, and we're going to see if we can add to that craziness. Today in Real Deal, are the Patriots just pitiful and pathetic? And, of course, Catone's comments. You want to stick around for that. That's always entertaining. In our weekly rewind, we're going to talk Celtics, Bruins, and the NCAA tournament is still rolling on. And, of course, we'll hear from one of you in the nation in our heated hotline later on in the show. Gentlemen, how are we doing today? Mark, you staying out of the box stores or what?
No more. I'm done.
Yeah, that's it. Okay. Joe, did you have a good week? Are we ready? You know,
Always have a good week. Always productive, always something that crazy that allows me to keep going.
Okay, well, listen, guys, let's get real. What are you writing now?
So I'm working over here. You're talking about nonsense. I'm working.
That's why we are the real deal New England feel. It's going to be real.
So the Patriots are just pitiful. That's the real deal. Okay, so last couple of weeks, free agency has been going on. The first wave went by. We're probably the second wave is already gone too. And guys, before we get to, I want to know what you think about the Patriots, but I just want to read some names. Okay, I won't talk about the teams. We don't have that long. We'll talk about where the Patriots rank after. But these names are people that have come into the AFC, okay, or traded in and out or went to new teams. So let me just list this. Deshaun Watson, Amari Cooper, Devontae Adams, Chandler Jones, Russell Wilson, Randy Gregory, J.C. Jackson, Khalil Mack, Karras, Tyreek Hill, Armstead, Von Miller, Juju Smith, Robert Woods, Matt Ryan. Okay? That's one list.
Which one did we get?
Hold on. I'm going to read the next list. Okay? There's another group of names I wanted. These are the Patriots players that they brought in and re-signed. Montgomery, Butler, Mitchell, Wilson, re-signed, McCourty, Bentley, Trent Brown, Folk, Slater, Hoyer, White. So my question is this. Why the hell is this happening?
Is that a rhetorical question?
No, it's not a rhetorical question. I want to know. Rhetorical question that the people want to know what the hell happened to the Patriots and why this shit is going on, Mark.
Well, you know, the excuse they're using is they spent all this money last year. They're going to wait until next year because they got $100 million in the cap next year, right? So they're just going to try to go status quo, try to maybe make the playoffs as a 7 or 8 seed. The fans will be happy, and then take a move next year. But does that work with all the changes? I don't think they anticipated this happening on the AFC side.
Yeah, but you know what? You have to anticipate teams are getting better. I mean, teams are going to do. It just seems like the Patriots are the only team that identifies, or maybe they're not even identifying the issue, but identifies the problem on the team and then doesn't do anything to get better. It just takes this cheap approach. So is it the fact that they're just cheap? And they can't spend money? We talked about that last week. Whose fault is it? Kraft, Belichick? If Kraft's just cheap, Belichick isn't spending his money, blah, blah, blah. but this whole idea from last year to this year, saying, well, we spent all our money last year, the cap, all that crap, and so we're gonna take this year off of spending. So, or we don't know behind the scenes. Are they trying to get these guys? And how do free agents look at us then? Let's assume they're trying to get these guys. How are the free agents?
They try to get them at a bargain. They're not offering real money.
Well, all this is speculation because nobody really knows. I mean, nobody knows what it is they're offering. You hear rumors, you hear, oh, the Patriots are in on this guy, but do you think
These places are offering meals at 5-star restaurants? We're offering a ham sandwich. Really?
Yeah. We have the Dunkin' Donuts new Frappuccino thing is what we're offering. No, but listen, no, seriously though, because this is irritating. It's irritating to all Patriots fans out there, and we just don't understand what the hell is going on. Are they offering the money and things to these guys, and they're just saying, why would we go there? It just doesn't make sense. Now, maybe not a Devontae Adams. Maybe a guy like that's out of your, situation. But like, how can Juju Smith-Schuster, this guy, how can we? Why aren't we getting these guys? Amari Cooper. It's not like they're signing over there. Who signed with the Rams that for only $16 million?
Yeah, but Cooper was traded for nothing.
Okay, all right. But then that's the other thing too. They're not in the trade
market. They didn't want to pay, Chris. They didn't want to pay.
Okay. So this is your typical Patriots crap where they're going, hey, go out there, see what you can find. And if you can't strike a deal there, come back, talk to us, as if they still have number 12 and as if they're still winning championship after championship. So is that your theory on this?
Yeah, but at some point they have to face reality. Number 12's gone. But the mystique of that building, part of that was him. A huge part of that was him. You mean to tell me you don't think Odell Beckham would have came here last year if number 12 was the quarterback?
Yeah. I would have to think so. And I would have to think Godwin wouldn't have signed that franchise tag and he would have been aching to get out of there, something like that.
Look at all the guys he's recruiting.
He is. And Mark has a theory about this that we're going to talk about in a few minutes too. But okay, so we don't have any. So that list is pretty pathetic, pretty pitiful. A lot of journeyman people. We haven't solved the linebacker problem of speed yet. We haven't solved the wide receiver issue yet. So let's talk. So these teams, okay, where do the Patriots rank then? So after all this happened, you saw the AFC where we know the teams we're talking about. The 4 teams, all 4 teams in the AFC West. You're talking Cleveland now, Cincinnati. You're talking Buffalo. Let's leave Baltimore, Tennessee, and Miami aside just for 1 second, okay? But you got the 2 in the Central or the North. You got Indianapolis, Buffalo. So these teams, we agree they're all past the Patriots. They're better than them, right?
Yep.
So that leaves you with 6, 7. That leaves you in the 8th spot so far. Now, talk to me about
if everything breaks right for you.
Well, talk to me about, and I'm not talking about playoffs because not all 4 can make it going to make it in the West. But now talk to me about Baltimore, Tennessee, and Miami. Are those teams ahead of are they ahead of the Patriots right now? On paper,
On paper, Baltimore, I don't know. That's a coin flip because you don't know about Lamar Jackson's always getting hurt, and I don't know about Baltimore. Tennessee, I'm not so impressed with. I think you could probably end up possibly ahead of them. The issue with Tennessee is you got 2 teams in that division that are terrible. So if you split with Indy, you very easily can go 5-1 in your division. Now, how many games you got to win before you hit 10 or 11 wins?
Yeah, but are they better than the Patriots?
Well, it don't matter if they're better or not.
No, but I mean, I'm just
capable of winning.
I'm trying to figure out how many teams they're looking up at right now. And to me,
you're talking. Well, okay, so
come on,
Tennessee,
Mark. What do you think? Come on, you're just afraid to say that this team is like 10th in the conference. That means right?
I told you. I think it's a coin flip with Baltimore and Tennessee. we beat last year. So let's say we're ahead of Tennessee.
So Indianapolis, so to me, they're somewhere between 9, 10 in the
They're
conference.
between 9-10.
Which because of the playoff format, because of how things go, 7 teams get in. Not all 4 are going to get in the AFC West. So they probably are sitting at the 8th spot looking in.
You're going to be you're going to be probably a fringe team. Yeah.
Okay. So now talk to me about Miami. Okay. So Miami signs Tyreek Hill. All right, which I I'm not sure I understood.
Do you honestly think they signed him to play with Tua?
Well, they gave up a lot for him, and they're going to pay him. I mean, they're going to pay him a ton of money, but he's one of the best receivers in football. And so how much better now is because they still got Parker there, the wideout. So
They
you
got
got
Parker. They have Waddle. They got the tight end.
Gesicki, right?
And what's
so
going to happen with number 12 and Gronk rolling?
Okay, so now here we go with that. Talk to everybody about this is the rumor right now. Go ahead.
So they keep saying the rumor is that Brady's trying to orchestrate a trade. We already found out 2 weeks ago that he's working on getting ownership of the Dolphins. So if he orchestrates his way out of Tampa to Miami, 87's coming with him. How are you beating that team?
I can't even. Nothing in me can even.
You want to talk about a big middle finger?
Head around. I can't even wrap my head around what this is going to be like if he goes to Miami. And I agree with you, Mark. He's either going there this year or next year. He's either going to play out this thing in Tampa this year, or he's going to get traded over there, or he's going to go next year as a free agent. Because if they give him ownership in that place, he's never going to leave. This guy will play forever.
Good thing I had my microphone on mute because a few expletives. I just heard that news right here at CORSO and Catone for the first time. What?
Right. Exactly. Because, again, ownership, Mark, he'll never leave. He'll play another 5 years, this guy, in our division. I mean,
you want to talk
that in for a second,
you
everybody.
want to talk about a double middle finger?
Oh, my God.
Wow.
Twice a year dealing with that, with the weapons they have. The only saving grace is I don't know what this coach they have there in Miami. He's never coached in the NFL, and he's never called plays before.
Who's going to call the plays? Number 12 is.
Yeah, that's right. So if you look at it one of two ways. One, the coach is young. He can't. The teams usually do first year not so good under a rookie coach. However, here comes number 12 in the door, and he basically takes over the offense. Says, this is what we're going to do, like he did with the cartoon character over there. But Mark, why would Tampa do this? I mean, why would they?
Well, I think if Tampa can get themselves a picks, maybe get a quarterback in return, like maybe Tua goes there. Because let's face it, at the end of the season, Brady's out of there, and you're getting nothing. If you can get something for him, he's an asset right now.
Yeah, but you're Tampa Bay Buccaneers, I mean, you're going to give up a chance to probably win the Super Bowl because with the NFC, how bad they are, you're going to walk right in. You're going to walk right into the Super Bowl. And why would Tampa want to? I mean, it's not like they're a franchise that's always on top. They suck all the time. And so now they get another chance. So, yeah, I get the draft picks and everything because the rumors that they're looking at Baker Mayfield,
too. BS that Tampa Bay forced him to play for them. How do we know he didn't say to them, I'm going to come out of retirement? Everybody saves face, but you're going to have to get rid of me. And I'll make it seem like it was your decision.
Yeah, well, then, you know what? If that's the case, how many guys in that locker room did he piss off? Because they're a guy, Godwin would have, maybe he wouldn't have signed that franchise tag. Davis, the corner, maybe he wouldn't have did that. Fournette may not have for sure, probably wouldn't have ended up back there again. So some of these guys that have signed on, Jensen, the center, we're banking on Brady being there. Now he goes and he sticks the middle finger up to everybody on that team too. So this guy's just a mercenary at this point, Brady. He's lost all sense of reality. He's just going to the team he wants to go, get ownership, and just win anywhere he goes now. Hey, God bless him.
Meanwhile, we're playing with the Island of Misfit toy coaches.
Right. So, okay. So now kicking it back to us.
We got
So
Malcolm Butler out of the retirement home.
thank God. I'm so happy, and we're going to, in the next couple, we're going to get into corner play and things like that, because honestly, Mark, I don't think they need a big time corner when you play zone as much as they do. You need a zone corner. And
so what are they going to do? What are they going to do with the zone?
that's what they play. That's what they're in. I mean, you put the corners that they have.
So you don't need a
Jawan
shutdown
Williams
corner?
No, not when you're playing zone, you're not in that situation. I mean, eventually you pick up a guy that's coming out, but everything you do is turned inside. If you watch J.C. Jackson and a lot of the picks he got last year, everything was inside. Tip balls, things like, tip balls into his hand, tip drill. That's a zone situation. You're not turning and running with somebody. Every so often it happens. But this whole idea of play zone, man, zone, it's never just one. There are palm concepts. There are read two concepts. There are, which is read two. There are two back to. There are all kinds of man concepts within zone, but that's what they play. And Mark, that's what the Patriots have primarily played over the years. They did it with Ty Law. That was a zone. Nobody realizes that. That was a zone team that they ran. So you don't need that shutdown corner. You just don't. So and we're going to talk about some of the potentials in draft the next couple of weeks.
To
but
play zone, don't you need a young safety eventually?
Well, the whole sideline to sideline, that's a whole different. We'll get into safety play. We'll get into that stuff. In fact, next week I think we're going to be talking about that a lot. But Mark, as far as where they are right now in the conference, yeah, I think they're number 10. I don't think they're a playoff team. So is this basically like chalk 2022 up, throw it away? Who cares? We get contract relief from some of these guys we signed last year. Next year, and in 2023, we get free agents and off and running. We are, since we're not going to compete anyway. Is that?
But how much does that hurt the development of Mac Jones?
I don't know. I don't know. I mean, he's teaching Joe Judge the offense, so he's learning how to be a coach too. So that should be great for him. No, it's hurting him. It all hurts him. All of this stuff. So, Mark, okay, but you better have a good draft. No.
Do you trust the draft?
No. Do you?
I mean, Ziegler's gone.
Who's picking then? Wolf? He's in there. I mean, is he going to have a say?
Wolf's in there. The other kid's in there. What's his name? Groh's son's in there.
Yeah, Matt Groh. And so those are the guys that are going to be in the room. Is Belichick going to listen? Because he listened to some people last year, and they had a pretty good draft. Look, they're going to have – we talked about the draft. They're going to have to get wideouts. So if you get a couple of money, Mekhi, Williams, Bolden from – you get those guys.
I read this morning, who they're working out, who I don't like? They claim they really like, which would be typical, the wide receiver from Penn State, Doxson.
Yeah, see, this is no. What I told you 2 weeks ago. What conference? The only conference they should be looking at is SEC. Period. Clemson, LSU, Georgia, friggin' Alabama.
Yeah. No, we're gonna go Penn State.
Yeah, you know what? Then you might as well go into the Pac-12 again and get somebody over there, because that's irritating as hell. Mark, if they sign two of those receivers from Alabama, one of those guys is going to be your outside guy. Fine, you don't need a splash at free agency next year. Now you can fill your offensive line holes, your linebacker holes, things like that. Because you're not going to compete this year. There's no way. And what pisses me off, the things I hear, and we're long here, so we got to get going. But the thing that irritates me is the things I hear on the flagship, Mark. Have you heard this? Have you heard what these guys are saying now?
What are they saying now?
Murray and those guys. They asked, well, should they not have spent last year? Well, no, they shouldn't have. They shouldn't have spent last year the way they did. You shouldn't have given Jonnu. And, of course, they say Jonnu Smith and Aguilar, as if they knew what was going to happen. Shouldn't have spent last year. Should have waited and done it this year to help him in the second year. Let him go his rookie year. Mark, they were screaming for them to sign people. Belichick will never do it. They'll never sign guys. And if they don't, they're never going to be okay. Well, now what?
The only thing I didn't agree with last year, Chris, is I told you immediately I was dead set against Aguilar being signed. But Jonnu Smith was worth this. I mean, we thought he was going to do something.
Well, before you start to consider bust, hey, this guy was a bust, that guy was a bust. Yeah. Jesus Christ, let him have a second year, no? I mean, is it possible? Yeah. It's possible they can get better, no?
It is, but I will say this. Aguilar, I told you when they signed him, was a waste of your money. He's a bust. Aguilar ain't getting better. But
Well, look,
John Smith has the potential to play well.
Right. Well, they better have a good draft. And for those of you out there who are still delusional in thinking that, hey, the Patriots are the Patriots, this institutionalized thought of, hey, he could come here for a year and go make his money somewhere else. Why isn't the somewhere else here? And media people, everybody is just sold on it for some reason.
The somewhere now is Mahomes, Wilson, whoever. It's not going to be here. Watson. It's not going to be here. No, it will not be here, and it's not going to be here, looks like, for quite a while. So that's what's real. The Patriots right now and their moves are pitiful. It's real, and we're going to continue on this next week when we start talking about draft prospects. So Real Deal was presented by Special Sauce Podcast. What's your special sauce? SpecialSaucePodcast.com. When we come back, buckle up. Catone's Comments is next.
Special Sauce Podcast. You liking the sauce? The sauce is good, man.
This is start off as finance train them, trust them, and let them lead.
With your host, Marcus Aurelius. Tune in to Special Sauce Podcast, wherever you podcast. What's your special sauce? Time for Catone's Comments!
This week, my wife, she didn't send me to any stores. That's a good thing. No stores. What did she do? She came home from the store with something I had to put together. Now she's into this stage now. Now she's into the stage where I'm putting stuff together because now she's done buying things from Home Goods that are already done. So this week she gets some crazy thing for the closet because she's got so many damn shoes. She needs some special rack or something. You're going to put your shoes. Okay. I got to put it together. I take it out of the box. It's got all these pieces, this and that. Of course, you take the paper out. What language is it in? It says it's English. The directions are in English. If you English, God only knows. There's screws, there's holes, there's this. I'm trying to set everything up. Okay, I start. It says insert screw FF into tube C where the pre-drilled hole is. Then take the wood top of D and manually screw it in. Once it's attached, use a double-edged screwdriver. They didn't give you a double-edged screwdriver. They give you an Allen wrench. So first of all, the directions aren't even right. They're telling me to use a double-edged screwdriver. I need an Allen wrench, right? Now you put the piece together. Looks good. Pick it up. It's backwards. I got to take the whole thing apart. Now I got to figure out where I put the screws that I pull out so I can put them back the right way. Okay, now you get to part 4 of this crazy thing, and it says attach the wood to top D on frame A. What the hell are they talking about? Frame A, frame B, frame C? I don't freaking know. Then they go back to the screwdriver. It's an Allen wrench. There was no screwdriver, right? Then at the end of all of this, I got a bag with extra pieces. I don't know what the hell. I'm like, well, I'm hoping it's right. I don't know. I put the thing down. I'm shaking it. It looks all right to me. I don't know. What do I know? But I don't know if it's upside down, backwards, straight. Now she says, comes home, and she says, oh, that looks really good. This is 3 hours later, by the way. I'm sweating. I'm ready to blow my brains in. Oh, it looks nice. Yeah, well, she's going to go get something else for me to put together. Listen. Spend the extra money. Go buy and put together. If they don't put it together, don't bring it home. Are you kidding me? It's absolute insanity putting this nonsense together. Craziness. You know what? That's no BS. That's Catone's Comments.
Well, okay. So Joe, we're starting to trickle out of the box score, but the box score is never going to leave Mark, evidently.
Follows him wherever he goes.
Listen, I ain't going to any more box stores.
No, but they're coming to you now. You know, they're coming to you. Mark, I have a question for you, though. So all these pieces, right? So do you look at the first page first to see what the contents of the box are and all that?
Yeah,
Spread them all out on the floor, do all that stuff? You do all that. Okay. How about did they have stickers on each item that says like A, B, F, all that?
Sometimes, yeah. No, not
On this
these.
one. They didn't have it on this one?
No, you had to match. They had the pictures in the directions. You had to match them up. No stickers.
Well, you know what? Maybe you should try reading it in the other two languages that it comes in the instructions.
Joe, he's breaking my beans, Joe. Now he wants to break my beans. 3 hours later, she comes in and says, "Oh, it looks good."
Don't you love that, though? Don't you love that when you get to a certain point, and it's always step like 11 out of 12, where you realize you screwed up step 2. And
you got to take the whole thing apart.
The whole thing's going to come apart. And explain to me the Allen wrench thing. That little stupid little letter L that they give you.
Point.
But in the directions, they're telling me it's a screwdriver.
Yeah.
Last time I checked, the screwdriver, you turn it. You know what I mean? It's a Phillips head, straight edge.
And the Allen wrench is like this big, and it's like a little L.
Yeah.
And I don't know when you use the angle pot and when you use the straight pot. It sucks. And your hands get like, calloused just by turning the stupid thing 80 times. Yeah, Mark, listen, I'm sorry. I have to agree. Joe, I got to agree with him on this one.
It sounds like every piece of furniture that comes from IKEA. That's where I thought you were going with that, Mark.
No, I don't know where she got it from. She might have got it from IKEA. I don't know.
Listen, Mark, you preach it to the choir on this one because I hate doing that stuff. I hate it. And then Christmas time comes and you find that you're doing it even more, right? All this stuff because Amazon is showing up every 30 seconds to the house. Frank, I know Frank from Amazon. Frank's our guy. Shows up.
That's a problem. When you know Frank, that's a problem.
Frank shows up. Hey, Frank, just leave it at the door over there. Don't worry about taking the picture of it. I see it. But yeah, no, there's the Allen wrenches, those things, and those little locks, those little silver lock things that when you put the other thing in, you turn it with that's where the screwdriver comes in.
Those never fit, right?
That thing. And you got to put the Elmer's glue in there too, Mark, so that it stays nice. I
glue my finger. My fingers are stuck together for 3 days after.
And the problem you have is you can't even go get the neighbor that you pushed down in the snow. You can't even go get him to help you out.
Maybe you. What do you go get the neighbor that put the dog's poop on your front yard?
This is not Corso's crisis. This is Catone's comments. It's got nothing to do with me. These are your issues. Putting shelves together. Now, what is this again? I missed it. Was a shelf?
It was like a rack for shoes, an extra rack because she's got so many damn shoes.
Mark, listen, Joe, you must have experience with this too, right? Any tips?
No.
Any tips out there? No? Okay.
Like
Mark, like the driving school, okay? Like the driving school, please issue a manual to everybody out there, to all our listeners, all our viewers, about how to put these things together, how to use an Allen wrench properly, okay? How to take the Elmer's glue and use it right, how to read the instructions properly. Is that possible? Can you do that?
They should have the stickers with the letters, Chris. That is a good idea. Yeah. They didn't have that with this one.
So instead of there being 12 steps for yours, I'll talk about 12 steps, Mark. You got a whole separate 12-step program you need to go through. But instead of there being 12 steps, for Mark, there'll be about 15 of them because every other step will be scream. Now scream. 3 steps later. Now scream again. 4 steps later, go yell at the people in your house, right? This is how Mark's putting these things together, throwing things, yelling things. All right, Mark. Well, listen, that was box stores are never going to leave your life. It's clear as a bell. So Catone's comments was presented by CORSO Law Group, Arizona's leading criminal and traffic law firm, CORSOLawGroup.com. Allow us to be your voice. When we come back, Weekly Rewind.
It's that time again for a timeout for a message from one of our sponsors. No one ever thinks they will be in the need of a criminal or traffic lawyer, but things happen. CORSO Law Group is Arizona's leading criminal and traffic law firm. Their 20-plus years experience and attention to detail has helped thousands of people all across this great country who found themselves in a situation in Arizona. So whether it's a traffic ticket or if you need reduced DUI or more serious issues, call or go online to CORSOLawGroup.com and talk with these expert attorneys who I know will help you. CORSO Law Group.
Back in with more Corso and Catone, the real deal, New England feel. And like we talked about, it was a real busy week this week, and local sports, real busy. So let's rewind.
I'm getting it. So going back through the week, about a weekly rewind.
So the Boston Bruins, Mark, two hot teams in Boston sports right now. We start with the Bruins. So right now they're sixth in the conference. They're 3 points out of third with about 17 games left to go. I think 16 or 17 games. They're 8-1-1 in the last 10. And the trade deadline came and went, and we talked last week or a couple of weeks ago about what they would need, right? They would need left-handed defensemen to be a bigger defenseman, get guys out in front of the net, move them out of the way, get in the corners, play the point well, be on the penalty kill, play that well, and chip in on the power play some. First of all, where do you feel this team is in the conference? Are they just pushing at the right time in the right direction? Where can they go?
They are pushing in the right direction. I'm interested to see when they play some of these bigger, more physical teams that they struggled with earlier. Now that they got the guys in front of the net in the trade deadline, how that works for them. I think they're trending up. Again, it's going to come down to what we've talked about over and over. Can their goaltending steal them a game in a playoff series or two where they're standing on their head making some stops because you're just not having one of those games, but your goalie can bail you out? It never felt like Rask could do that, right?
Yeah, I mean, I like how Swayman and Ullmark are playing right now because despite the issues out in front, Carlo that friggin' slug, you know how I feel about Carlo, but I like the way Swayman's playing. Ullmark, good save percentage. So let's talk about the move they made. Hampus Lindholm from Anaheim, they pick him up. Now, they gave a lot away to get him. They gave basically five assets between players and picks to get him. And he was on an expiring contract, right? So what you were concerned about is, are we renting a player for a year? Because it's a problem unless you can get this guy in. Well, they signed him. They re-signed him to a good extension. I think it's 6 years, $52 million. So now he's in. So now he's your left-handed defenseman. He's 6'4". And I went through last week, 2 weeks ago. I told you 5'11", the size of these defensemen. Well, here comes a 6'4" guy.
That.
Yeah, he loves playing in front of the net. Okay, loves getting people out of the way. I heard his press conference last night. And so you wonder how he's paired with McAvoy on the top line with him. So how's he going to do? Well, here are the numbers from last night for his debut against Tampa, or 2 nights ago. He had 4 shots, 4 hits, a block. He was a +2. He had that assist on the first goal, and his physical presence was made known in that game, something we haven't seen all season. So he showed up, and he showed up big time for them. And so now, knowing that, to me, they're a tough team to beat. And that was without Bergeron too, right?
Yeah, it was. And against a team like Tampa, that's what you're going to need. If you play them in a 7-game series, you're going to need that physical play, which they didn't have, right? And we talked about before. Do you bring back Bergeron in a not Bergeron, Chara in a desperation move because he had that big body? So I think this was a good move. If that's what he's going to give you, you need that. The only thing I wish they would have did was brought in a right wing. And you and I have talked about this.
Well, that's the thing. And we talked about bringing in a right wing if they were going to move DeBrusque, right?
Yes.
So it was weird.
Well,
what
even
happened
with
there.
not moving DeBrusque, I still think you could use a right wing.
Well, because you got left hand, you got left hand shots playing right wing. That's not ideal. And so you wanted to without messing with the third line, because that Coyle Smith Hola line is, I would have liked to see maybe a center come in, but I'm good with what they did. But with DeBrusque, Mark, it's a little odd what happened here. I mean, this is a guy, so he's been begging for a trade out of there, right? Okay, so what happens is they give him more money, even like a 2-year extension, right? So you figure, all right, you got a 2-year extension, but immediately you think, well, they're just trying to make the contract more marketable so they can move him. Well, it comes and goes, and they don't move him. And so now everybody's sitting there scratching their head, including DeBrusque. So why? I mean, what's the story? How did they just not get a good deal for him?
That's my guess. They extended him, which you think would have made him more marketable because you extend him. I'm assuming that went through before so they could tell teams, listen, you have him for a period of time if you trade for him. So I don't know. Would the teams think it was too much of a risk because he may be a head case?
Well, and production-wise,
because if you trade him to a place where he don't necessarily want to be, what do you get? What are you getting? And maybe that scared teams away.
Maybe, and the production-wise, you're getting it from him on that top line with Bergeron and Marchand. I mean, you're getting that. It's interesting what Cassidy said this week. I love Cassidy because he's blunt. He's brutally honest. He'll say what he thinks. Love it. And he basically said, look, he's been spoken to about his effort. His digging down, showing up every single night. It looked like DeBrusque had a hair across his ass when Hall showed up. And that's I think what started this whole I want out of here. So he came on the team, and he came on as a left winger, and behind Marchand is Hall, and so now DeBrusque has to move to right, and that issue. So again, but I like what Cassidy had to say when he said, "Look, Bergeron's here. He can talk to this kid." So is that it? The fact that they're veteran, we keep DeBrusque, make this run.
Does DeBrusque, do you think that he's going to be okay with the fact he didn't get moved? Like, I don't know. I'm hoping.
I mean, his agent said he's not okay with it. Yeah, he's not okay with it, but he's going to have to be. And if he's going to get anything out there, he's going to have to play. He's going to have to show up for the rest of the season, I think.
So if he shows up for the rest of the season, puts together a huge effort, right? They make a playoff push. Maybe they get themselves further along than people think. Maybe at the end of the season, somebody does deal for him. But for now, he's going to continue to put his best foot forward, like you said.
Well, they got 17 left. Let's see how they finish. I think there's a great move that they can go long into the playoffs. But now the other hot team, Mark, you're talking Celtics with 7 games left. This is a team that's gone 25-3 over the last 28. They're a game out of first now, a game and a half out of first, and looks like 1 game or a half game out of second, tied for third. How far are they going to go?
They are absolutely a contender to win the Eastern Conference. I mean, the way they're playing, the way they play defense puts them in every game. Defense, and you've said this numerous times, defense travels, right? So it don't matter whether you're home, you're away. The way they play defense is going to put them in every game. And the way they've been offensively, moving the ball around, driving, dishing, not forcing three-pointers. Everybody seems to be involved, active. Smart is distributing. He's not taking crazy shots anymore. I don't see why not. The only question I have is, do you want to be the number 1 seed? Because you know what happens if you're the 1 seed. Who are you playing?
Yeah, Mr. Vaccine is now able to play every single night in Kyrie Irving. So he could play all games now because that ban has been lifted. And they're probably going to end up, they're going to be in that play-in, right? So if you're in the 3 spot, you play Cleveland. That seems to be
You'll
cemented.
Destroy Cleveland.
So to me, that's where I think they should end up if you're playing that game. But do they even care at this point? Is this the best team in the league? Right. I mean, going into the playoffs, is this the best team in the league?
Well, they took care of Denver, right? And Williams and Smart didn't play. You destroyed Utah. I understand Curry got hurt, but you still beat Golden State pretty easily. I mean, obviously, it might have been different if Curry doesn't get hurt in that game. In the
Dallas was a
Eastern
tight game.
Conference,
3-point
Dallas,
game.
yeah. In the Eastern Conference, does Philadelphia scare you?
No, because Philly doesn't
mean-
scare me because they have, it always seems like there's drama there's a shoe about to drop over there, doesn't it? With Embiid and now Harden. I mean, you think Harden's going to have a meltdown at some point if things aren't going right in a series?
I don't know, but what do they have outside of those two guys? That's my issue with them. And we've been talking about the Celtics bench earlier, but now you're getting contributions from guys. What other than Harden and Embiid, I don't necessarily know how much Philly has, right? And Milwaukee, well, you have a good point. You have a theory about Giannis and Robert Williams.
Yeah, I mean, well, you know how high up I am on Robert Williams. I've been saying this for a long time that I think he's, I think he's a guy that I didn't want to move him at all because he just you could see it coming and see it building with him. No, I think he's going to hold. Giannis is going to get his. He'll always get his, but I think Williams is going to drive him nuts under there. I think he's going to bang him. I think he's going to push him around. And the one thing about Giannis is when you stop banging him a little bit, when you stop pushing him a little bit, you start to see him fade a little bit in games. Now, the only issue with Giannis is he can go to the top of the key and he can hit shots from out there. So how you defend that, there'll be switches and things like that to be able to get that done and him shooting over people. But I think he can keep Giannis under control. But I think that's the most professional team left in the East, where if there was any team in the East that could flip the switch, I think it's Milwaukee. Do you?
Yeah, so you'll see a different Milwaukee in the playoffs. When you say flip the switch, you're going to see a different team than you're seeing in the regular season. And I know the other team that plays defense and they travel they're gritty is Miami.
Miami
right?
scares me.
So Miami's going to play, and they're going to play defense, and they're going to be gritty. And you saw that grittiness this week. The coach is on the court screaming at Butler. Butler's screaming at Haslam. Right? They're just a gritty team that they'll do whatever it takes to win.
Yeah, that's their makeup. That's their makeup. And you see, because if you get that with Philly and you get that with Brooklyn, then the team just implodes. But with some reason with Miami, that seems to give them a push, So yeah, Miami scares me a little bit too. But geez, Mark, this and look, Tatum. Okay, should he be considered an MVP? Should he be in the MVP conversation right now?
I think he could be I think he's in the conversation. I don't think he's a serious conversation just because up until January, he had a subpar year, I thought. But the last, 2.5 months, he's playing, I think, is good, if not better than anyone in basketball, right? Obviously, in my opinion.
Well, it isn't just his offense. I mean, he's scoring in the 30s. If he doesn't score in the 30s, you'll wonder what happened, Yeah. But it's not just his scoring, though, is it? I mean, he's
defense.
that defense is great, and he's facilitating too.
Yeah.
Driving, kicking out. They're picking rolls for him now, where he's getting to into the lane and getting that pass back. And so the Chris Ball movement, and when a guy like that is doing those kinds of things, that's infectious, right? I mean, the rest of the team just falls in line with it. He's your best player. So
he is. But you know what? You also are seeing, it seems like a better connection between him and Brown. Like they really seem to be complimenting each other, even after the games. The way they're talking, the way they're feeding off each other. Like it seems like Brown and him understand their roles. Who's going to be the alpha male? Who's going to be the complementary piece? If we're going to make this work, it just seems like there's been some kind of transformation in their relationship.
And it happened right after the trade deadline. And the reason I think that happened. It's the Marcus Smart factor, which is the white factor, because Marcus Smart. The other night he had 13 assists, but his points were very low. That's what you want. That's what you want to see in your point guard. You want to see assists, but it wasn't like that before. This dude was throwing up shots all over the court, taking the last shot of the game, bitching at the officials more, as if he's the superstar, and in his own mind he is. Well, White comes on this team now. And I told you, he pushes, because that's the same spot, same position. And now Marcus Smart looks back and says, okay, this is what they want. You know, they're wanting assists. They're wanting facilitation. And White's a hell of a lot better of an assist guy than he is a shooter. So I think Marcus Smart really got a fire lit under his ass. And now he's that in-between guy, which they didn't have before, in between Brown and Tatum. I mean, that makes sense, right? I mean, you saw it right away after the fact, after the trade.
Yeah, you did. And because he's doing what he's doing, it's making a guy like Grant Williams give you stuff that he never gave you before. You know, he because we didn't think Grant Williams was anything. All of a sudden, he's like a key piece now. He's giving you shots. He's giving you rebounds. He's playing defense.
Yeah.
You know,
and Pritchard,
so pieces
too.
That Pritchard
shooting lights out. I mean, right now he's shooting lights out. That second unit with White and Grant Williams and Pritchard and Tice even, too. Tice looks like the guy, a little bit of the guy he was a few years ago, too. And, Mark, we talked about the crisp ball movement. Doesn't the crisp ball movement really make it easier for – does it? I mean, does it make it easier for shooters getting that ball in rhythm that way?
Oh, absolutely it does. Of course it does. And there's no delay. They know where it's going. They're moving it. It's crisp. It's fast. And the other guy that really has been making good decisions with the ball is Horford. Yeah. He gets at the point, the top of near the foul line, and he distributes, moves, shoots. He's really an unsung hero as well that people aren't necessarily talking about, but watch his level of play. It's totally different than it was the first half of the year. It's like he drank from the fountain of youth.
Yeah, and their pace, like we talked about. Their tempo, their pace is just running. They're running guys out of the building. They're running teams out of the building now. They're bringing that up the timeline at 20 seconds, and they're just moving and crisp and moving. So, and you know, it's funny too when you listen to the flagship New England people. It's interesting because if you think they're the best team in the league, right, then your expectation should be that they're in the final. Okay, if you think they're one of the best teams in the league. But it's interesting when you say that, you hear, well, we'll be happy if they win a one round. That everything after that's gravy. Well, it can't be gravy if you think, which one is it? You either think they're the best team in the league, or one of them, and is in the finals, should be, or you don't think that, and you're happy with what you get. Which is it?
No, listen, the way this team's playing right now, it's a disappointment if they don't. They got to at least make the Eastern Conference final. In my opinion, you need to be in the championship.
Well, we'll see what happens. They have 7 games left. They're hitting on all cylinders right now. They need to keep it. Don't rest, guys. Do not rest anybody. Keep them going right into the playoffs. And Mark, the other big stories of is the NCAA men's tournament this week. Providence College, what a good run. They got to the Sweet 16. They weren't able to finish it against Kansas. I thought, despite their poor shooting, which is 20% in the first half, they only scored 17 points. They still were in that game because of their defense. Talk about Providence, Mark, and talk about the tournament.
Yeah, so Providence had a real good year. I mean, historic year. They haven't won this many games since 1973-74 with Ernie DiGregorio, Marvin Bonds, and those guys. Wow, if you know anything about, local basketball, right? Really, that's the last time they won this many games. But yeah, last night they played one of the Blue Bloods, right? And Kansas gets guys we can't get, but we play hard-nosed defense. We did, we came up a little short. Like you said, we shot 20% in the first half. That's a lot to overcome. They took the lead in the second half. For a second, I said, here we go, because that's what they did all year. They would come up late and pull games out. But Kansas, give them credit. They went on a 7-0 run. I mean, Kansas is a good team. They're well coached. Kansas themselves played good defense, but listen, Providence deserves credit. They had a great year. They're a tough team. They showed grit right up until the end. They came up a little short yesterday. They should be proud of the season they had. They went to the Sweet 16. And listen, this has been a crazy tournament.
Oh my God.
I mean, there's one number 1 seed left, Kansas, and Kansas is vulnerable and beatable. How about St. Peter's?
That's a great story. They're a 15. They're the first 15 seed to make it to the Elite 8. I would love to see them keep going. But yeah, Baylor's out. Gonzaga's out. Arizona is out.
Yeah.
And Kansas again, 66-61 against the Friars, and their shooting percentage is down, but that was a great defense. That was a great defense in part, and they take on the makeup of Ed O'Neill. By the way, you got to congratulate Ed O'Neill too. That guy had that team playing so well, and they take the makeup up of him, tough, gritty. Telling him at the half, hey guys, you pick it up or you're going home. That's it.
Yeah, he's been like that all year. And, they got the 3 championship belts that they developed during the course of the year. One of them is get those dimes. It's the assist leader for the game. But the one belt, it's called the dude, right? And at one point at the beginning of the year, they had him mic'd up, and he's screaming at them, "You're going to be tougher and stronger, and you're going to beat them, and you're going to be one of them dudes. Be that dude. Be that dude." And they went crazy. But that's what he instilled in them this year.
We would welcome him in here anytime. That guy is the real deal. New England feel. Right
Ed Cooley is the real deal.
If you looked up in the dictionary, what's the real deal New England feel? There's a picture of O'Neill sitting there, right there. That's that guy. So let's see what happens with the rest of the bracket, because it's blowing up. It's blowing up. So I'm a St. Pete's fan too. What's their mascot? Who are they?
They're the Peacocks.
Peacocks. Go Peacocks, right? There we go. Joe had them in the Final Four anyway, I think, right? Yeah. So go Peacocks. So, yeah, we'll get into that Final Four and final game next week. Mark, you look like you have something to say.
No, I don't.
Doesn't he always, Mark? Joe, doesn't he always look like he's on the cusp of saying something brilliant?
No.
And then we don't hear it. So, Weekly Rewind was presented by Jag Media Productions, and so listen, are we ready to hear from somebody in the nation?
Ooh, yeah.
Let's go.
Heated Hotline.
Do it.
Hi guys, Brad calling in from Rhode Island. I need you to clear up this story about Story, Correa, Bogarts. I mean, who's doing what? Who's on first? I don't know. But what was Bogarts being not ready to play second? Maybe he's just a shortstop for this year. Do you think he's going to opt out next year? Really don't know what's happening, but I'd like you guys to go over it. Let us know who's playing where, and get ready for the season. Thanks for being there for us.
Well, Brad, thank you. Yeah, who's on first? Get Abbott and Costello in here to go through that routine. Mark, don't even start with that. You can put that in Catone's comments next week. The who's on first crap. But Brad, thank you for the call, Brad from Rhode Island. And okay, so here's the deal. You were looking at, the free agent signings. You're looking to bring maybe Correa in, and he would have cost $35 million. Story cost about $23 million. Both of them shortstops, in their career. I think they made the right choices. I don't think Correa would have been willing to play second at all. So they bring in short. What Brad is talking about with Bogarts is, in his interviews, hey bro, I'm a shortstop. So how's this going down now? With this, how's the shortstop?
Well, listen, I don't think they brought Trevor Story here to be a second baseman. I think he'll play second base this year like a good soldier. But I think the handwriting's on the wall for Bogarts. Either he's going to opt out, or I think he's only got this year and maybe next year. I'm not sure. But Story's going to be your shortstop. Bogarts will be out of here. It's my opinion.
Yeah.
Because Bogarts is going to get a huge money somewhere.
Story should be the shortstop because he's a better shortstop. I mean, when you break it down, he's a better freaking shortstop. So I would rather have a guy like that in here than Correa, because Correa is going to be another personality you got to deal with, and that fight this year is going to happen.
And Bogarts gave them a hometown discount, don't forget. So he's looking to get paid now.
He is. He's going to opt out. I mean, he's going to opt out. He's going to be gone. Story's. I agree with you. Story's going to move over to short, which is where he belongs. And in all honesty, if it wasn't going to completely tear the the clubhouse apart. They should do it. They should put Bogarts at second right now. Honestly, if there were no emotions involved, no personalities, that's where he should be.
What happens if he starts booting a couple of balls at shortstop? Then what?
Yeah, well, the question is the manager. How's the manager going to handle that situation?
Mr. Analytics over there.
You turn the knoblock all of a sudden, right?
Oh my God! Remember that he couldn't throw the ball.
Couldn't throw the ball.
He couldn't throw the ball. But no,
because
listen,
mentally that's going to weigh on Bogarts if he makes an error or two, because everybody's going to be saying, move Story over.
Yeah. And listen, management, they don't care. And the fans really don't care. Bogarts, like you say, that parrot on the shoulder, that's somebody looking over your shoulder. Yes, you boot a couple of balls, they're going to start asking for him. And the New England fans, they'll start chanting it up in the stands. They don't care.
And then once now that the Story comes in, Bogarts makes his comment. And then what about out of nowhere? Devers says, "Oh, they haven't offered me anything." He puts his 2 cents in.
Oh yeah, and that's going to be another. And that's going to be another possible train wreck. So they give him $11.5 million to avoid, they avoid arbitration with Devers. And you first say to yourself, okay, that's good. They're going to avoid arbitration. Next year he goes to be a free agent, but that must tell you that they're working on something with him, right? They're working on. But when you look deeper into it, you see that they're far apart. They're really far apart.
For him to drop that comment?
So what happened? I mean, he's one of their, what do you do with Devers now? He becomes a free agent next season.
It's going to be very interesting. They've got, put it this way. The Red Sox are not going to be able to, they're not going to keep Story, Bogarts, and Devers. They're not going to spend the money on 3 of them. Somebody's going to be out.
Well, Bogarts is, for me, Bogarts has to be out. You're not going to play short. So either you change your mindset. And Mark, is he going to get to a place? I'm sure there's somewhere in the league that he could play shortstop, but are they going to want him? Are other teams going to want him at the price he's going to want to insist on playing shortstop? Is he marketable that way?
I don't know. He has shown flashes of becoming better defensively, but he still makes some of those plays where you're like, is he really a shortstop? I don't know.
So we'll see. I mean, and as far as New York goes, free agency's going on. I haven't seen. They haven't looked too good so far in spring training yet. But Judge wants to sign before the next season. What do you make about that? They're going to do something.
Cashman came out today and said we're going to make him an offer before training camp ends. Before spring training ends, he said there'll be an offer on the table. He said, and let's hope we put pencil to paper, is what Cashman said today. We'll see.
They have 2 weeks, right?
Yep.
First game's what, April 7th? They have 2 weeks. So
April 7th, they open up against the Sox.
Right. So stay tuned. Stay tuned for that, because as this thing opens up next week, we're going to see if something got done with Judge and want to see the fallout, because I have a feeling with this Red Sox team that this is just this epic friggin' this second base shortstop issue. This is just getting going. So this is going to be real interesting for our show. Heated Hotline was presented by Studio 42 Designs, studio42designs.com. Hey, guys, it's that time again. We got to get out of here. Gentlemen, thank you, as always, for a great week, a fun week. And next week will be even more fun. And thank you for joining us in the nation. And listen, get on this week. Look at all our shows are all up. So watch them, listen to them. And then when you're on, go down below in the description. Click on any of the links, and you will be in the nation. And while you're there, Mark, remember that little bell that we talked about? Click on that.
Ding, ding, ding.
What ding,
bell?
Ding, ding. The alarm
ding,
goes
ding.
off. The alarm goes off. It's time for CATONE'S comments.
Like Rocky, one more round.
One more round, Rock. We're trying to make it easy for you, and of course, make sure you call in to Heated Hotline this week. Want to hear, like Brad, thank you for that call. Want to hear from you. Pick yours, 855-313-PATS. And come back next week, 7 p.m. Eastern. The NBA regular season is wrapping up. We're going to break down the final games in the NCAA tournament. And we're going to have some draft talk. And will Tom Brady still be a Buccaneer by the time we come on next week? Stick around. You're not going to miss it. Hey, what better way to spend your week than with CORSO and Catone, the real deal New England feel? See you next Saturday.